Hello and welcome everyone. This is your astrology forecast for new moon in Scorpio, and this new moon is happening on the 13th of November. And as you know, every lunation is felt a couple of days before and a couple of days after it happens, and this one is very renewing and refreshing, not only because it's the new moon, but because it's the first new moon after the eclipses, and it's the first lunation after the final eclipse that we had in the series of eclipses that were happening in Taurus, Scorpio, and this one happens to be in Scorpio. So it will be also very helpful if you listen to the previous video about the eclipse in Taurus, because it's very much connected to the energy of Scorpio, because full moon in Taurus was in opposition to the sun in Scorpio, and we are in the middle of the Scorpio season, and we are in the middle of not in the middle, but we are still in eclipse season very strongly, and it will be felt throughout the whole Scorpio season. It will start fading a little bit around the end of November when the sun enters Sagittarius, but right now we are still, this is post-ecliptic period, and we are still receiving news and messages from the eclipses, and it's very life-changing. It can show us some new direction of life. This is new moon, the new beginning, the renewal, the refreshment, and it's in Scorpio. It's about regeneration. It's about new transformations, new changes, seeing things with new eyes, seeing things in a new way, in a new light, seeing ourselves with new eyes, seeing our past, seeing our traumas, seeing our fears in a different way, in a new way, in a way that is regenerating, in a way that is transformative. And we are going to see a lot of fears coming up, a lot of our suppressed fears, our subconscious fears, and we are going to see how we've been limiting ourselves and sabotaging ourselves. This is the exposure of self-sabotage and of our own pretending as well. Where have we been pretending for a long period of time, and we cannot pretend anymore? We don't want to pretend anymore, and we want to be totally honest, and we have, this new moon is inviting us to be totally honest and to be transparent. And the question is, can we be transparent enough to see all that has been suppressed and hidden? Can we be so transparent with ourselves? But we have to be. This new moon will also reveal a lot of those things that we so strongly want to hide and mask, that we want to cover up, that we want to somehow forget. But the memory works very strong now, and some things that we have forgotten will be revealed. It's about revelations, and it's about some new revelations. It's about discovering some secrets in a new way. This is also a period where we may be afraid to say some things because they may be uncomfortable, but truth is something that we must share now. We must learn to share things that we are uncomfortable with, but we also have to know what things we definitely need to keep secret within ourselves. We cannot reveal all about ourselves. We have to keep a little mystery about ourselves. We have to keep something secret about ourselves. There has to be something that is a mystery, that is revolving around our personality and our identity. And of course, we are always a mystery to ourselves, and we also have to work on that moment where we know exactly what we have to keep a mystery in the world around us, with others, with people with whom we share our intimacy, with people with whom we share our secrets with. And we are going to see why are we drawn to particular people. Why are we attracted to particular people? Why exactly this person? Why exactly that person? And we may see through these relationships now much better with greater clarity. And we are going to see why those patterns keep repeating, especially in our intimate relationships, in our relationships that are very close, in our deep, intimate, emotional relationships with others. We are going to see why those patterns keep repeating. And there is this great need for honesty. And there will be definitely something mysterious and mystical in our relationships with others, something unknown, something that we don't want to be known. And this energy triggers a lot of our hidden emotions, hidden feelings, things that we don't say to others, things that we don't say because we want to be polite, or things that we don't say because we want to pretend to keep the role that others are used to when it comes to us. When we identify ourselves with a certain role, then we keep repeating and replaying that role in front of others out of fear of being rejected. I spoke about this a little bit in previous video too. But this is this energy is a lot about our soul upgrade. Scorpio is soul upgrade, and it's about understanding ourselves on a deeper level, peeling back layers that need to be peeled in order to reveal a new truth. And we will be shown a path of healing. Scorpio is a lot about healing, and we are going to see what layers need to be peeled off in order to reach that healing. And we are going to notice habits, destructive habits, and habits that maybe seemed to us as something comfortable, but actually it turns out that they are toxic. Those habits that we indulge in, habits that we have formed over the past few years, habits that actually make us anxious, or habits that make us lazy, or habits that make us sick and ill and weak, and habits that make us spoiled. And we are going to see where we have spoiled ourselves, and we are going to take responsibility for those things and for those habits. We are going to replace them with new ones that encourage peace and calmness and bravery and courage, and that will help us be daring. We need to replace old habits with new habits, and we are going to see those habits that need to be changed. They will be very obvious to us during this time, and we are diving into the depths of our soul and our psyche, and we are holding a mirror to our shadow side, and this mirror says look within, but really look within, and connect with that shadow side, connect with the depth of your soul and psyche. Do your deep research, deep work, deep inner work. And Scorpio leads with instincts, and it takes responsibility, and it's very, very loyal energy, very reliable. And we are going to learn that the most powerful changes actually come into our life when we accept things as they are, when we accept the way everything already is in our life, when we accept ourselves fully. This is when actually the most powerful changes come into our life, when we are like, that's it, I'm good with it, everything is fine. Then the true powerful changes come. And instead of always fighting and battling, we should also learn how to surrender. And Scorpio is a lot about surrendering, and that's where the inner strength comes from. It comes from being able to surrender. And Scorpio moon helps us to stand up for what feels right in our hearts, and it helps us to embrace the wisdom of Mother Nature. And there is this great cosmic support that is on our side, and this support comes when we are ready to break through some walls and barriers that we have been building, so that we can travel deeper into the journey of who we are. And some things will have to be removed, simply to say, just removed. And we may decide, or we may feel in our heart, our heart will tell us that our heart no longer wants to be involved in a certain relationships, for example, or in a certain work, or in a certain partnership, or in a certain habit and pattern, in a certain dynamic. Or we may find out that our heart is ready to move on into the next chapter of that relationship, of that work, of that habit and pattern. So we will see if our heart tells us that it no longer wants to be a part of this, or if it's ready to move on and work on it, if it's worth it, if it's worth of that work. And we may feel in our relationships there are going to be some power struggles for sure, and we are going to see where we missed to set some boundaries, and we may feel resentful because we think somebody crossed boundaries, but actually we didn't set any boundaries. So this is why there is this crossing of boundaries happening, because we didn't set them in the first place. And there is this awareness of what needs to be done now with those boundaries. We are going to see what we have allowed, where have we allowed others to cross those boundaries. Why did we do that? Why did we actually not put any boundaries in the first place? So we are going to see a lot about the theme of control in our emotional life, control in our family life, control in our family relationships, intimate relationships, friendships, partnerships, what this control is doing to us, and our need to control, our need to be in control. And we are going to see where are we missing the control within ourselves. We may feel that someone is controlling us, or we may have trouble controlling ourselves. Or someone may feel that we are controlling them. This theme will be intense about the control. And if we are not controlling something about ourselves, we tend to experience this as someone trying to control us. And you know that, like, when we say this person is doing this to me, this person is doing this to me, and that this will tell us where something is out of control within ourselves. A lot of this will come up, and if someone is trying to control us, we are going to see where are we not controlling ourselves, because this is why that struggle and dynamic is actually happening, because we are losing control in ourselves, and then we feel controlled by others. We can never feel that someone is controlling us if we have full control of ourselves, if we take full responsibility of ourselves, if we are self-confident, if we have trust in ourselves, if we really believe in ourselves, then we will never have this issue of thinking that someone is trying to control us, and we will never have a need to control anyone else. But this need for control and manipulation comes definitely out of fear of losing, of losing in general, or of losing something, of losing ourselves, of losing others. But we are going to see that we don't own anyone, so we cannot control anyone. We definitely know this intellectually, but we are going to feel this emotionally now. We are going to have the experience on emotional level of how this is working, of control and fear and possession and jealousy. A lot is going on in the sign of Scorpio. We have the sun and the moon together in Scorpio, and Mars is also in Scorpio. Mars is the original ruler of Scorpio, and it's in its own sign, very strong, very strong. And when not controlled, when we are unconscious of this energy, when we are unable to handle this energy, it can go in a direction that we don't really want to see manifested. So the themes that I already mentioned in previous video of jealousy, possessiveness, obsessions, rage, violence, need to impose our will onto others, need to control, need to manipulate, need to be dominant, need to be bossy. All these things may resurface now. They may come to the to the surface, but we are going to we have to confront these things, because we can only grow and learn when we know what's not right. So we are going to see our own inner disbalance, and we are going to see that we are able to recreate our life. This new moon in Scorpio gives us an opportunity for truly a new chapter, for something, for new life, because Scorpio represents death, rebirth, and regeneration and transformation. So Scorpio new moon gives us a new beginning, a new life, a rebirth, a recreation of life, and something that is more beautiful, something that is more fulfilling, something that has strength, something that has depth, something that has a meaning. And we are going to exercise those inner muscles now. We are going to exercise our spiritual muscles as well. Scorpio is about the invisible, the unknown, the intangible, the unconscious attachments, secrets, taboo themes, all things that we are afraid of, ashamed of, things we want to hide. This is our privacy, our intimacy, our shared resources. This is things that we do behind closed doors. These are our fears. These are our suppressed emotions and feelings, our traumas, our deep material that we have to work with. These are our dark inner corners that we are afraid of. These are things that we are also disgusted by, that we just want to remove, that we don't want to look at. These kinds of things will be brought to light as well. This is shamanic energy, very shamanic energy, and it's about the collective shadow as well. A lot of work is needed in order to cleanse ourselves, to heal ourselves. We are here to heal. We are here to cleanse. We are here to do this purging process. And we have to be present, we have to be aware, we have to be conscious, and we have to be turned inward in order to do so. We have to be like detectives who investigate the case, the mysterious and mystical case of who they are. And it's a shamanic time, soul healing energy, and it's sharp. It's sharp. Mars in Scorpio is very sharp energy. And we should be careful of any sharp objects during this time as well. So we also have to be very careful with words. Mercury is in Sagittarius, and it's in a fire sign. Sagittarius is about freedom and higher knowledge and adventures, spirituality, higher self. It's about higher knowledge, it's about upgrading our knowledge, and Mercury is the planet of learning and teaching as well. It's about news and messages, and this is good energy, good time to express our knowledge, to deepen our knowledge, to sharpen our knowledge, to learn some new things, to share meaningful words, to share meaningful stories, to have a point of what we are talking, not just, we have to become very aware of our not only words, but of how we say things, because this Mercury will be in square with Saturn, Saturn in Pisces and Mercury in Sagittarius, and they are in a tense square aspect. So we may feel censored, our words may be censored, our communication may feel censored, and we may feel as if we cannot really express what we want, what we feel, and we will have that need to have freedom of speech. Mercury in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is freedom, Mercury is speech. So freedom of speech may be sabotaged by this Saturn in Pisces, but there is always a way out. And we are going to understand this during this time too. This new moon in Scorpio is showing us that there is always a choice. There is always a way out of any situation. There is always an alternative. There is always a choice to be made. There is always an alternative path. And we are going to discover those routes now. We are going to discover those hidden pathways within ourselves. And some doorways and gateways will definitely be opening now in a new way for us. This new moon will give us some new passages, and Mercury in Sagittarius in a square with Saturn in Pisces can definitely show us how we can become more mature and more responsible for what we feel, what we say, what we don't say, what we don't express, what we hide, what we keep secret. And because these things eventually come up, and these things that we hide, that we cannot express, that we suppress, they come to us. We attract those things too. And we are going to see that people are, most of the time, actually 99% of the time, they are acting and reacting from their trauma signatures. Those people who are very sensitive, they are very reactive. Those people who are strongly hurt and wounded, and who have experienced a lot of painful situations in their lives, are very reactive, mostly. I'm not saying that this is the rule for everyone, but we are going to recognize some of those strong reactions and trauma signatures in others, but this will also be a mirror of ourselves. So if it triggers us, if it makes us feel wounded in some way, if it makes us feel betrayed in some way, then we are triggered, and then we are going to see that shadow mirror. We have this new moon is making an opposition with Uranus in Taurus. Uranus is a planet of shocks, surprises, sudden changes, shifts, unexpected situations, shake-ups, breakthroughs, breaking free from something, awakening, quick and sudden changes, things we couldn't see coming. And it's an opposition, so we are going to project some things that we may be shocked with. We may be surprised by those things that we see, and by what we project. We may not be aware of what we are holding inside of us, but we are going to see this thanks to these projections. And we are going to learn how to become still. This is a very, very strong lesson of this energy, to understand those trauma signatures and to learn to become still, to be able to sit in maximum awareness and patience, and to be ready for whatever comes. no matter what comes, we will be able to face it with courage and bravery, and not allow any of what we perceive in this illusion to affect our level of consciousness. So we are building this level of consciousness, and we are going to learn how to maintain wholeness in this moment of emotional flooding, emotional tsunami, actually, because we have a lot of watery energy. The sun and the moon and Mars, all in Scorpio. Mars is very stormy energy in water sign, and it can create a storm, and it can create that burning on the inside. Mars is fiery planet, and this inner burning, we are going to feel the heat coming up, and it's a very, very good time to understand, to learn how to maintain this wholeness and how to reinstall ourselves. We are reinstalling ourselves. We are restarting ourselves, restarting the system of who we are. And we are going to see that unconscious parts of our own psyche, those unconscious parts remember everything. Though our subconsciousness knows everything. Nothing can go unnoticed. Everything that we have ever thought, intended, did, said, everything is there. Everything. So our unconscious part of our psyche knows everything and remembers everything. And past memories are all in that unconscious field beneath the surface. This is the Scorpio area. These kinds of things will be strongly affected, and we may remember some things now that may be a bit uncomfortable for some, but they are the remedy, they are the cure, they are the messengers of the new truth, of the new chapter of our life. This will give us an opportunity to enter into something new. So some secrets may be revealed that will set us free. There will be some huge relief for sure will come through these energies. And we are going to learn a lot through our projections. Projections are symbolic reminders of deeper truth and deeper stories that can be unleashed, and we are going to see our missing needs. And the focus will be on our relationships and intimacy and exchange. And we are going to see, are we empowering one another? Are we supporting one another? And we are going to see that definitely we are always dragging the skeletons out of the closet of one another. This is what we are here for. This is why we come here. We support each other by actually dragging those skeletons out of the closet. So let's not get angry with someone if we feel triggered in that way, but let's see this as as a support, as something that actually shows us where we've been stuck, and it shows us those projections. Our deeper parts of our being come out of hiding. The hide and seek game may feel as if it's over now. Of course it will continue. We are always in the hide and seek, but there are times like this when those things that are hiding in the shadows come out, and we are actually always searching for them, but when they start coming out, we become afraid, and then we start running away from those things. But they actually come out and say, here I am. I'm not hiding anymore. And what do? We run. We turn our heads in different direction and we run. Instead of saying, finally, thank you, so I don't have to dig deep, or so I don't have to, walk through that dark unknown woods. You came out by yourself. Thank you. It's a blessing. So, when we suppress these things, we create sub-personalities. And we are going to see some of those sub-personalities within ourselves and in others who are close to us. And we are going to create closer bond with others thanks to revelation of those sub-personalities. So we are going to see what we've been suppressing thanks to those sub-personalities, those multiple personalities. And of course it can be uncomfortable, but discomfort doesn't mean that this is something bad. Discomfort does not equal bad. And we are definitely getting out of the comfort zone, getting out of stagnation, and this is an invitation for growth. There is pressure to grow. We feel pressured to grow and to improve and to evolve. The truth is not always comfortable, but the truth is always what is best for us. And there will be illumination of uncomfortable truths for all of us. And we are going to recognize that this is truly healthy for us. This is really healthy, and we are going to see that no matter what, truth is really always healthy for us. Even if it's very painful, it's always healthy and always friendly. And we are going to learn how to make space for those intense emotions. It's completely acceptable to have all kinds of emotions. It's all purposeful. And they are all coming from our inner child. They are all coming from that deep memory, from those places that we have forgotten. Those emotions are all right. There's nothing wrong with them. And how we communicate them and how we receive them and how we manifest them is the problem. Emotions themselves are not problem. And feeling those emotions and going through them, walking through them, channeling them is not a problem, but how we perceive them, how we communicate them, how we identify ourselves with them is the problem. And we are going to see this also very clearly. Emotions themselves are not problem, and we are going to learn to make space for emotions because sometimes we suffocate ourselves. Actually, not sometimes, but actually all the time we are suffocating the most part of our emotions. We don't let them be expressed. We just don't let them. We want to be perfect. We want to show ourselves in some other way, in a different light. So we pretend, so we suppress, so we learn how to behave. We learn how to behave, and we forget how to feel. We forget how to express. We forget how to live from the heart. We forget how to feel our bodies. We are completely disconnected from the nature of who we are, from our emotions. We are completely disconnected from emotional center in our being. And all emotions are welcomed. Remember this, all emotions are welcomed. And we are going to learn to embrace them all despite discomfort. And to learn that discomfort does not equal bad. And we are going to extend our awareness. This is all coming from that unconscious place, from that hide and seek that say, here I am. So let's remember that we should be really grateful for when those things come up. Like finally they are revealing themselves, and we have an opportunity to purge those fears, phobias and insecurities and paranoias. Where we've been paranoid, where we have phobias, those things will be coming up. And we should also make sure that we have enough amount of sleep, right? That we have the right rhythm of the right cycle of sleeping, because that's very important for a healthy functionality of our whole organism. That is our reset. That is our natural reset, our best medicine, our greatest remedy. And we are going to learn a lot about the power of the right rhythm of sleeping. And we are daring very much during this time. Scorpio is about being fearless, stepping into the unknown zone fearless. And this is the journey of self-discovery, individual discovery, discovery of our own path. And we have to be more aware of what needs to come up on surface for our own healing and for our own growth. This is all happening for our own healing. All the things that come up, all the situations that happen in our everyday life, in our relationships, in our love relationships, in our friendships, in our family relationships, they all come up for healing. All the heavy stuff, they come up for healing and for purging. So we are going to see where we are out of balance. These things always help us to see where we are out of balance. But we so much love to indulge in those questions, in those self-pity moments, in playing victims, in always talking about our problems, always expressing the pain, always talking about how hard it is, how painful it is. Or we may go into another extreme and just pretend that everything is perfect and pretend that things are working fine, and then we want to save those people who are in pain and in victim modes, and then we become their victims. This is how these kinds of things work. This is how those structures of those mental mechanisms work. So we are going to be able to see through those things. These things will become more transparent. Other people will become more transparent. Their traumas will become transparent. Our traumas will become transparent. We will be transparent, and we are going to see how we're going to handle this transparency. And we are going to see where are we not acting in the right way. Where are we harming and hurting ourselves and others? And where does it come from? We have, all of us individually have responsibility to come back into balance and harmony. This is our responsibility as human beings, to come back into balance and harmony. This is our primal state of being, balance and harmony. And we kicked ourselves out of that, so we are trying to come back into that zone all the time. But we are failing because we are involved in this drama of relationships and blaming and suffering and separating and needing to be seen and understood by others, need to be praised, need to be loved, need for attention. It's all coming from the need for attention, and we are going to see this need for attention in ourselves and in others. We will have ability to see it more clearly, to overgrow it, to get over it, and to recognize it as something very childish, which is not something bad. It's just how it is. That's the way it is, like we are going to see that we have to overgrow this. It's not right. Something is not right there. If we are behaving in this way, if we have that strong need for attention so much, and we are not babies anymore. So what happened there? Where are we stuck? What went wrong? Where our evolution stopped so that we are still on that same level. When we overgrow certain phases, we don't need to repeat them anymore, but we are going to see what we've been repeating for a very long time. We are going to see those infantile patterns, repeating infantile patterns within ourselves. And it's not something that we should be judgmental or criticizing about, but just accept it as it is and see that we don't need to do it anymore. We have overgrown it. It's done. It's over. We don't need to be in that space anymore, but we have forgotten, and this memory will come up. It's like we have learned how to walk. We don't have to learn how to walk all the time. We have learned it. So in the same way, we are going to see that we are still stuck in something that we have actually learned. We have actually overgrown it. And this responsibility to come back into harmony and balance will be very strong, and the need to do that will be very strong. So we are taking responsibility for our choices, and I am taking responsibility for doing this, for doing that, for choosing this, for choosing that, for allowing you into my life, for allowing you to do certain things into my life. I take full responsibility for that. And for everything that I do and say and choose and decide. And we are going to see if we are caught up in fear and anxiety, in reactivity. What are we caught up in? And if we are caught up in those states of being, we will be given a strong opportunity to release those things. We will be able to release things that are holding us strongly. There will be this moment of releasing. There is pressure, there is release. There is pressure, there is release. And this is what we are going through right now. And we are going to see that giving is very powerful. Giving is something that we definitely have to master. And there are going to be some big tests and challenges and lessons related to giving. Because, the energy of Scorpio is very much about sharing. It's our shared life, shared intimacy, shared secrets, shared money. Things that we share, deep, intimate things that we share with others. And how do we give? What do we give? What do we offer? What do we have to offer to the world? And do we know how to give, and do we know how to receive? Because if we only know one thing, then the cycle is not working. There is some blockage there. If we are only using one way, one-sided, we are then one-sided being, when we are actually multidimensional beings. So we have to learn how to give and receive at the same time, so that we can create that full functional circling and spiraling of energies of life. The circulation of our system. When the circulation of blood is not working right, then there is dysfunctionality in our body, and there is something we have to do in order to cleanse ourselves, to purge, to heal. So in the same way, we are going to see the circulation, the disbalance in circulation of our mental, emotional, and also physical, of course, energies. And we can learn a lot from nature, as always. Nature is always, all the processes and cycles in nature teach us about processes of life and what we're going through. And we can see that a tree is stationary. It cannot move. It cannot walk. It cannot move its hands. It cannot give with its hands, but it needs to proliferate. It needs to have offsprings and nutrients, and it needs to thrive. So what does a tree do? It gives. It doesn't just stand there expecting others to nurture it, to take care of its needs, but it begins giving. And it gives through the blooming of flowers. It gives through branches and fruits. It gives through these blooming flowers then attract other beings. It attracts bees and insects that need the nectar from flowers, and when they collect the nectar, then it helps to pollinate the flowers on the tree, and then it turns into the fruit, which is then picked up by an animal that will eat it and carry the seed further, where it will bury the seed, and the seed will grow into another tree. And those kinds of things are very powerful. We have to learn how to give, because when we give, we are also going to receive back, and we are going to create abundance. The more we give, the more we create, and we can recreate so much. Now we can recreate our life, and we are going to do this by learning to give and to share, but also learning to receive. If we are only giving and not knowing to receive, then the question is, do we know how to give at all? And there are going to be situations during this new moon in Scorpio where we are going to be faced with some things that we definitely need to say no to. And we are going to ask ourselves, do I really need this? So before we say yes or no to something, before we decide to do something or don't do something, let's ask ourselves, do I really need this? And many of us will have an opportunity to say no to certain things that are very damaging, and that are actually, they may not even be damaging, but they can be counterproductive, or they can be just not bringing anything, which is actually, again, very damaging, because the question is what we can do instead of doing that is constructive and healing and meaningful. And we are going to ask ourselves, is this really needed? Do I really need this? Is this meaningful for me? What does this mean for me? Where is this going to take me? And our relationships are evolving, and we are going to see that. We are going to see that we are evolving through our relationships, and we are going to see that it's healthy that we need one another. That's healthy, but it's also healthy that we need a break from one another from time to time. And we are going to learn to be selective and to discern, to understand that this is time to form deep connections. Scorpio is the unconscious, and it's more raw than romantic. It's about past life connections, divine reunions, soul contracts, intimate soul bonds. Catalysts enter our lives. People who are catalysts, we have chosen them for that role. They play the role of catalysts into our lives. And, instead of seeing the bigger picture and understanding that they help us heal, we actually blame them. So let's see that some things are not as they seem they are. Some things are completely turned upside down, and we see things completely differently on this side from the level of personality. But if we could see things from the level of soul, everything would be very different, and we would probably be laughing a lot. And we are probably laughing at ourselves on the level of being. And this is a time for powerful connections with people, for powerful contacts with people. So we should be careful with what do we do with that powerful contacts and with our own power. People we are hanging around with have a massive effect on us, on who we are, on what decisions we make, on what steps we take. And we are going to see clearly people we are surrounded with. who they are, what they mean to us, what do they tell us about ourselves, because these people create the picture of who we are. They are all playing different roles in creating a whole picture of our own journey, and we are going to use our intuition and trust our guts, and we will know better with whom we can share some undisclosed desires and with whom we cannot do it. We will know better now. We cannot be fully honest just with anyone, and we have to be aware of what we are saying and to who we are saying it, and aware of what we are avoiding and where we are pretending, and what are we totally denying in our life. Not what things that we don't want to see. We are going to see them in a much brighter light now, and things are coming through our heart energy now. We are going to see manipulations in their true, in their real way, manipulations in a raw way, our own manipulations, where we manipulate ourselves, how we manipulate ourselves, our mind games. We are going to meet those sub-personalities. We are going to explore them deeply and examine them and see them closer. We are going to come closer to see them, and they may come closer to us, so let's not be afraid of these things. As I said, let's welcome them, because they're finally coming out, and no more hide and seek now. This is the energy of death and regeneration, of gain and loss, and of profound loyalty. So we have to wake up those qualities within ourselves, and it's purification. It's huge purification. We can purify our traumas, and we can cleanse our souls now. This is deep soul healing energy, and we can we can become we can understand this strong energy of osmosis. Scorpio is osmosis, and it's about the absorption. What do we absorb? What do we identify with so strongly, and why? Why certain things attract me so strongly? And we are going to see that we become what we are attracted to. We turn into those things that we are attracted to, and then we relate to and connect to those things emotionally, intuitively, physically, in every way that you can imagine. And we have to understand that we have to become more vulnerable if we want to explore intimacy. We have to become more flexible. This is about alchemical transformation, very strong energy. And there is a trine with Neptune in Pisces. Neptune, the planet of illusions and delusions and deceptions and imagination, but also intuition and spiritual journey and higher self and divine energies and transcendence and unity and unconditional love. So there are always two sides of every story, probably more sides to every story, but there are two main opposites. So this trine is very supportive and friendly energy with this new moon, and Neptune is in its own sign in Pisces, again sign of transcendence as well. Neptune is the lord of the ocean, and this is the vast ocean of everything, where the whole existence is synced into. It's etheric energy. It's something that connects us with our Akashic records, so to say, with the field that knows everything, with that subconscious energy that I spoke of, that knows and remembers everything, what has been and what will be. But this energy is very spiritual, very deep, very internal, very introspective. And this trine energy will help us. There is support. So we have support from Neptune in Pisces for this lunation. We have support to transform and regenerate from the invisible world, the Pisces and Neptune. We have support from the invisible to transform and regenerate, to bring in some new life and new meaning and regeneration and renewal and rejuvenation and refreshment. So there is some kind of death of an old identity. And this gives us even greater identity. So we have to surrender and understand the vulnerability. We are in the season of Scorpio, the season of death, the season of endings, the season of letting go. And we have to let go of ourselves, let go of our identifications, so that we can go through the process of individuation. Let go of our strongest identifications, because this is where our true essence is being awakened. There is an opportunity to shed a lot of past karma, and opportunity to really let go of paranoia, to let go of anxiety, to let go of those irrational fears, to be present. Because when we are present, when we are aware, there is no space for anxiety and paranoia and fear. When we are in the present moment, it cannot exist. Being in fear and being in the now cannot exist in the same in the same time. They just cannot exist. You are either in fear or in the now. And if we are present, if we are conscious, if we are aware, if we are if we trust ourselves, and if we trust life, there is no space then for anxiety, for paranoia, for fears, and for those things that make us feel completely dysfunctional and pretending that we are functional. So what do we do when we are dysfunctional? We pretend that we are functional, and so it goes on and on and on, and we live like that. But now these kinds of energies actually give us an opportunity to walk through that black hole of who we are, and to be purged by that energy. This is an opportunity to let go of all the history of who we are. Let go of the history of who we are and come into the connection, not into the attachment. And, as I said, this is possessive energy, and we are going to see where are we being possessive. Like I must have that thing, I must have this person, I must have this job, I must have this thing, I must have that. Do we really need this? What do we really need? Because when we have ourselves, there is nothing that we must have. And we are going to see what are we holding on to, what do we need to release. And when we are holding on to something strongly, it takes away our energy. It definitely takes away a lot of our energy. And we are going to see, is it healthy or is it toxic? We are going to see many toxic things in our life now. And again, this will be very beautiful, because it's a blessing to see what is really toxic in our life. Because most of the time we cannot see what is toxic. We don't know. We think that something is good for us, and it turns out that it's not. So we are going to see those things now. And we're going to see that when we are really holding on to something, it's really taking away our energy. And, as I said, we have to keep ourselves a bit of mystery. Remember that there is a power in having that secrecy, of keeping some things to ourselves. And we are going to learn how to do that, how to keep the mystery of who we are, and to see that we can put ourselves into a calm space so that these power dynamics can be absorbed, so that the power can reside within us, and so that we don't dissipate our power on things and people that are not important to us, on things and people that we have allowed to take away the power from us. It's again always eventually our full responsibility. So we are going to take this full responsibility. It's time to go deep inside, to enter into that darkness, into that dark room without being afraid. We are definitely fearless now. This is still the energy of the eclipses. So it's very similar to the previous eclipse, but this is new dawn. It's the new energy, it's the new moon, it's the new beginning. It's the recreation. So we can now recreate, and we are willing to let go of our need for security. We are able to let go of our need to be safe and secure. We can now go through the process of destruction of old structures. We can destroy the old structures within ourselves, and we shouldn't be caught up in those turbulences. We can stay in our own inner process. We can stay in our inner process despite those turbulences. This is deep reflection. We can allow ourselves to go within and feel whatever is coming up, no matter what. Be aware of the issues in the shadows and things that we have been pushing into the darkness. And those things need to reach the light now. And we have to honor letting go. Honor the time of letting go. Allow old patterns to die, to dissipate. So we have to make more space, and we do that by being in the not knowing. And this is, the in-between time. We are in between. We are on the bridge, and we allow ourselves not to know. Allowing ourselves to be in the not knowing. And we have to collaborate with who we are and collaborate with what scares us, because this is what will teach us. Allow ourselves to not feel clarity. Allow ourselves to feel confused. Allow ourselves to be in that in-between space, to feel deep emotions. And we may be feeling collective fears, collective pain, collective traumas because of these connections during this lunation between new moon and Neptune in Pisces, and also Mercury and Saturn in Pisces. So collective trauma can be felt. So let's be careful not to get drawn into that fearful energy. There is always this deeper process of transformation going on behind the scenes. And our sixth sense will be very, very strong. And we are going to understand that really everything that happens has a purpose. And we feel things on deep level, Scorpio, deeper level. We are going to release, to detox. Toxicity from the whole system is now being cleansed. Toxicity from thinking, toxic thoughts, toxic habits, toxic relationships, toxic emotions, toxic blockages, everything where we are putting ourselves down. And we are going to experience some sudden radical changes. We are going to be surprised by what we reveal now. And we can step back, take a breath, and rise above it. And understand that we are much better than this game of divide and conquer that is also happening on our inner level. This divide and conquer is not something that is happening only outside of ourselves in the world, but this is what we are doing within ourselves. And there is a great quote by Lao Tzu, very simple. The world is won by those who let it go. The world is won by those who let it go. And also another quote from Carl Jung that says, knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. And with this, I would end this forecast, and I hope that we can all give a small individual step into this collective healing process. Love you all and see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.